Welcome to What's the Scenario with PLRB, where we explore claims and coverage scenarios related to insurance professionals. I'm Alissha Watley.
I'm Tim Havler.
And I'm Mike Broad.
All right, Tim, what's the scenario?
The insured is an avid cyclist and owned an expensive road bike. He competed in races every few months where he did well, often won prize money, though it was just a hobby for him. One day on a routine training route, another cyclist cut in front of him. He lost control, ran his bike at 25 miles an hour into a tree on the side of the path.
Ouch.
He was not injured, but the
yay.
bike was ruined.
I hope he had a helmet on. Okay.
Yes.
He had a standard homeowner's policy, so he submitted a claim for a new bike. The adjuster looked at the policy and saw he had standard coverage C, named peril coverage for personal property, and the adjuster is wondering if any of the named perils might apply to afford coverage for a new bike. So any cyclists in this group today?
So, funny story. I don't know how to ride a bike.
No, you never learned?
So when I was 7, I had a bike and then it was stolen and we never replaced it. So I never, unless it's stationary, I don't know how to ride one.
Yeah, never too late to learn new things.
I am going to put that in Alicia's personal development plan for
I'll stop.
2024. Yes. At least on mine, it wasn't me personally. I like riding bikes, Tim. They're good. And I think later on we're going to talk about e-bikes too, maybe. I'm hoping.
A little
Got
bit.
one of those, so I like that. But funny story with mine and Rex, my son, my oldest son, showed up at our front porch one day, and he was a little bloody and whatnot. And I'm like, what the heck happened? He said, well, I just ran into the back of the neighbor's car, damaging their taillights. And I'm wondering, did you have your eyes closed, or you're texting and biking? How do you not see? This was an SUV. How do you not see that in front of you? And then you end up running into it. And I will say, what seems like a very inexpensive repair, taillights, not so much so. It was a little costly decision, but my son was at the end of the day okay, just a little bloody. But yeah, I still to this day do not know the mystery, Tim and Alissha, of exactly how you wind up running into the back of a parked car that's right in front of you in an open street.
Distraction.
No.
He was distracted.
On his cell phone, maybe?
I mean, how old was
Could
he?
have been 17-ish, I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right. He was distracted by something, walking by,
Yep.
or on his phone.
Could have been.
Children.
You're right.
Yeah,
That's
I
it
used
for
to
me.
ride downtown quite a bit when I lived downtown and on the downtown streets, and miraculously, never a single crash or anything really even close to a crash, I would say. I lucked out. And now that I've become an old man, I stick to the forest preserves and the biking paths.
Wait,
They're a
where
little
it's
easier.
safe
Yes.
with
But Tim, I
Bambi,
do think
Bambi
for
and
our
Thumper.
audience, Alissha, you do. It would be fair now. Tim, what's downtown for our listeners?
Downtown Chicago, the
Right.
bike path
Sweet
along
home
the
Chicago.
lake or the streets, those are a lot more dangerous. The bike path is actually pretty good these days.
You are a bold, bold man.
Yes.
So, going back to the scenario, is the bike covered property under coverage C, or does the insured need specialty coverage or some type of auto policy since it was one of those newer bikes? I mean,
Road bikes.
road bikes, yeah.
expensive.
Road bikes, just a regular bike, a road bike,
Road bike, okay.
thin tires.
But if I could interject too, Tim, I'm curious, because when you look at it from, let's say I'm a lay person, never handled one, you would think, right, it's personal property, it's a bike, it's your property. Why wouldn't it be covered, Tim? Why wouldn't it be covered, Tim?
Well, Mike, I agree with you. It's personal property. It's obviously not real property because it's not stuck to your house or your land somewhere. So
Stuck to that tree.
Yeah.
There you
yeah, now it's real property on the forest preserve. But no, it's personal property. And as we know, coverage C is for personal property. The policy does exclude motor
go.
vehicles, but not just plain vehicles. So regular good old-fashioned bike, that would be covered Under your coverage C, at least covered property, we still need a covered peril, which is, I'm sure, what we're going to get into next.
Yes. So,
Hmm.
you know what I think it was? Tim, I don't know if this is covered or not, but malicious mischief.
Interesting, Mike.
Hmm.
Elaborate on your theory there. I'd love to
I
hear it.
believe that it was the tree that jumped out in front of this gentleman. So it was some sort of, I'm certain, an adult, just like my son, same thing with the car. It must have somehow,
Just
from its
jump,
perk
jumped in front
standpoint,
of him.
jumped right out in the middle of him. And same
Hmm.
with the tree. It jumped out of the side of the road right into the path of the bicycle. And that to me is you know what I'm saying, and mischief. So it should be covered under that barrel.
Well, I guess I would put the burden of proof on you to show me that tree moved even a centimeter,
All right.
Well,
or
here's the
had a
thing.
brain to know what it was doing.
Here's the
Otherwise,
thing. It could have
mhm,
been a branch. Those move.
Ooh, good point,
mhm.
Alissha. Wish I would have thought of that in my scenario.
So I'm going to go ahead and shoot down vandalism, malicious mischief. We're going
All
to have
right.
to keep looking for other perils. What other ideas do we have?
Mm.
Mm.
I don't know how to ride a bike. I'm like, I don't know what kind of risks go out there when you ride a bike.
Now, is there something about, like if it's an auto policy, we'd be talking comprehensive or collision. So, but there's not such a thing under the homeowner's perils, is there?
Correct. There's no collision peril. That term comes up all the time in other insurance, auto insurance, motor truck cargo, even farm policies. You see that one a lot, but
Yeah.
not homeowners section 1. So we're going to have to keep looking.
Hail. 'Cause
Not a hail
hail,
loss.
how did I hit that tree? Right?
I'd say we're missing an obvious one here.
Besides construction, I was thinking construction, where someone had to dart to miss something on the road and didn't notice anyone else around.
How about
Yeah.
vehicles? There's a peril for vehicles.
Oh, there is?
Yeah, so it's covered property is the vehicle, and then there's a named peril for losses caused by vehicles.
Well, hold on a minute, Tim. The tree caused the loss, not the vehicle.
I would say the vehicle caused the loss to itself. It's some sort of recursive self-referential loop.
Mhm.
And I
Or
actually think that works.
could the tree have been a vehicle that jumped out in front of me, damaging my vehicle?
No, and let's get into what a vehicle is.
Because
Okay.
that was my
Vehicle is
next question. I'm like, how does
something.
is a bike a vehicle? Because I think vehicle, I think four wheels, a door, and airbags.
Motors, all that
Right,
business,
that's what I
yes.
think of too. But a vehicle is something that carries someone or something from one place to another, a means of conveyance. So that's obviously extremely broad. And if the policy drafters wanted to limit it, they could have, but they made this peril one word. It's vehicles.
Hmm.
So that's pretty broad. Courts interpret that pretty broadly. This includes boats, tractors, big construction machines that are on wheels, trailers or vehicles,
Golf cart.
rollerblades, golf cart, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Rollerblades, I say we're starting to push it.
Mm.
There's a recent case out of New York where a recycle bin. It was a four-wheel recycle bin smashed into a gas line, and the insured wanted to claim that that was a vehicle. Court thought that was pushing concept of vehicles a little bit too far. Although I think some courts might have said yes because
I
it
mean, it's
carries
transporting
something from one place to
Yeah.
another. That's right.
exactly. It
Or I was
does.
thinking even one without wheels, if you're like riding it as an impromptu sled. I was just thinking my kids could have done that too. That would have been kind of cool. And that then maybe could be a vehicle too, Tim.
I bet a sled could be a vehicle in some
All right.
cases. So now we know what a vehicle is. A bike is definitely a vehicle under our definition. But like Mike, you said, the bike damaged itself. So
Yeah,
can
that
the
doesn't make
peril
sense.
damage the same property? I think it can. What's important is that the momentum, the force weight momentum of the vehicle is what caused the loss. So I would contrast this to Alissha. I don't know if you're into, say, expensive fur coats, but we're going to use those in our hypothetical here.
Sure, why not?
And why not
Just-
me? Why would I not be into expensive
Are you?
fur coats, Tim? Yes, I
Big-
love them.
Okay, Mike, we'll make this hypothetical
well,
about you
thank
then.
you.
There you
So,
go.
Mike, you're wearing a white fur coat, and you're walking next to a car that's parked, and
Yes.
you get your sleeve stuck on the antenna, and it rips the coat. Vehicles peril?
Malicious mischief.
Uh, Caused by a vehicle.
Oh, yes,
Um,
that makes sense. Yeah.
Mhm.
no, we're actually going to say no here because
No,
it's
it
not the
grabbed my sleeve and did it.
it's not the force, weight, or momentum of the vehicle while it was a vehicle or while it was moving as a vehicle. It could
Oh,
have been, you
okay.
could have caught your sleeve on anything.
Mhm.
It has nothing to do with the fact that it was a vehicle. It's really the movement.
So I have a devil's advocate kind of thing. I'm walking along in my fur coat because it's my turn now, and I'm
Okay.
walking down the street. It's a rainy day. It's a little muddy. A vehicle comes by and splashes me. Does that and causes damage to my coat?
Excellent hypothetical. I'm going to say yes, because it was the movement of the vehicle that caused the puddle to splash up on you, that then caused your coat to get ruined.
And how
And ruin
about
my
the
chinchilla.
yes, which mine was faux fur, Alicia, so no animals were harmed in the making of my coat. But I would be curious, Tim, if the person then rolled down the window and said, "Ha ha, Alicia, gotcha." Would that be malicious mischief then?
Mike, I think we need to get you away from the malicious
Oh,
mischief peril. I think you've got a little fixated on this.
okay, sorry.
What kind of
Okay,
mischief have you done, Mike?
so let's do a quick lightning round. Like the scenario, Alicia, you just gave me. Let's do a few of those. I'll put this to you. Any thoughts are welcome. You're taking a boat ride. The captain takes a quick turn. Your cell phone goes flying out of your hand into the water. Vehicles peril?
That's tricky because you need to be more responsible with your phone. But if it's a quick turn that was not expected, I would say yes, vehicle peril.
Correct, I agree.
Hey,
Number
ding,
two,
ding, ding, ding. Oh,
insured rented a U-Haul van, put a bunch of stuff in it. When it was parked overnight, the U-Haul roof leaked and rain dripped inside. All your stuff got wet. Vehicles peril?
Is this for
no.
me or for Mike?
Whoever wants to take it.
Cool. I'll take this one, Alicia. I'm going to lean towards no, because no movement of the vehicle. There's nothing to the vehicle itself that caused the damage. It was more like wear and tear that caused the leak to come through.
I agree. We're 2 for 2. Let's do one
Yay!
more. Insured is cruising on the highway in her Mercedes convertible. She
Nice.
had her wedding dress in the back seat and she forgot to secure it. On the highway, it flew out of the car. Vehicles peril?
I would say no because she should have been smart enough to put her wedding dress in the back of the car and not secure it.
And I'm going to go the opposite direction. Tim, I'm going to go again. It's a vehicle. Car's vehicle. Oh, yeah, car's a vehicle. And the momentum of the vehicle is what helped cause the dress to be removed from said vehicle. I'm going to go with coverage.
I'd go with coverage on this with the
Boo.
reminder that there's no exclusion for negligence. So it
Right.
may not have been the smartest thing, but the vehicle still caused the loss. So excellent job on the lightning round.
Do I get a certificate or something?
Ding, 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 ding.
We'll get you a
Yes.
certificate. We'll draw one up for you.
I like the color blue. So let's go back to the bike. So when we replace the bike, can we subtract depreciation?
Mm.
Yes, as long as the company wasn't giving replacement costs for the bike. The standard basic homeowners coverage is usually ACV for personal property. So if that's what the policy says, yep, you can subtract depreciation. It's either going to be replacement cost minus depreciation or whatever the market value of that bike was used.
Okay.
Makes
And what
sense.
about the business property special limit since the insured won money using the bike?
Ooh, good one,
Ooh.
Alicia.
Curveball here. Right, because the insured was competing in races and won prize money,
Mhm.
but it sounds more like a hobby than a business. So under the older forms, I'd say don't apply the limit because it wasn't his trade, profession, or occupation. Under the newer forms, it could maybe be a business if he won enough money over the last year, but even so, the bike still wasn't primarily used for winning money. It was still more of hobby property. So I'd say no, no special business limit on this one.
He needs to go pro. He should have been
Right.
pro.
And then I got to throw one at you, Tim, because we were talking earlier. I said I have an e-bike, and now that has a motor, even though you can just do pedal assist or you can do full throttle on the motor based on what you want to do. So there was an exclusion, right, for motor vehicles
For
here or
motor
no?
vehicles,
So
yes.
does the bike an e-bike now become a motor vehicle because it has a motor
So
as a vehicle?
just so I'm not confusing anybody, we need to remember there's two things. There's what's covered property, there's what's a covered peril.
Okay,
So for the covered property, there's an exclusion for motor vehicles. And then for covered peril, we were just talking about any
vehicles.
vehicles.
Okay,
But your question is about covered property. Exclusion for motor vehicles. Um, Extremely difficult question with e-bikes because policy drafters, at least what I've seen, haven't really written anything specifically about
yeah,
e-bikes into the policy. It would be really nice if they did. Usually you're dealing with language like motor vehicles, meaning any motorized land conveyance. Okay, you can say an e-bike is motorized,
Mhm.
unless maybe it's one that you can pedal sometimes, but you don't have to have the motor on. And then sometimes there's different policy language. This is very, very complicated. So PLRB does have a frequently asked questions on eBike where we go into a lot of this. Very great resource for you,
cool.
Mike, if that question ever comes up for you.
I will definitely check it out.
All right. So, Tim, what can we take away from this scenario?
To recap, the insured crashed his road bike into a tree. The bike is covered property under a standard homeowner's form. The named peril for vehicles probably does apply because the force, weight, and momentum of the bike, a vehicle, caused the loss. This is true even though the bike caused the loss to itself.
Mhm.
E-bikes can be different. Sometimes they're covered property under Homeowners Form Section 1. Sometimes they're not. This could require a detailed look at your policy language.
And I'm sure, Tim, that if one of our members out there has a question about an e-bike claim, they can certainly ask an expert like yourself and share their policy language, and
Mhm.
you can dig into it, right?
They certainly can. We are here to help. And to learn more about this issue, besides asking us, you can also log into plrb.org, and we have very lengthy and detailed annotation on the vehicle's peril that goes into case law discussions, coverage scenarios, all organized by heading. And I mentioned the FAQ on e-bikes before. We also have a 50-state survey that goes through
Mhm.
all of the e-bike laws in all 50 states and pages for both first party and third party liability coverages.
Awesome.
Cool, man. All right. Well, thanks everyone. Mike, did you have any closing thoughts?
No, I'm just going to use some of those resources to look up malicious mischief and learn more about that peril.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening to today's scenario. As Tim mentioned, if you are a member of PLRB, head over to plrb.org, sign in with your company email, and as an employee of a PLRB member company, you have access to the surveys and all of the search information that you're looking for. So, uh, and all of the links for today's scenario, can't talk right now, can be found in the show notes. Make sure to follow us on LinkedIn for educational clips and check out the video version of this podcast, yikes, on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast feed. Thanks, Tim.
Yay.
Okay, thanks, you guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Mike.
Tim. Thanks, Alissha.
We'll
Talk to
see you next
everybody
time.
Okay,
soon.
bye.
Yay!
The views and opinions expressed in this resource are those of the individual speaker and not necessarily those of the Property and Liability Resource Bureau, its membership, or any organization with which the presenter is employed or affiliated. The information, ideas, and opinions are presented as information only and not as legal advice or offers of representation. Individual policy language and state laws vary, and listeners should rely on guidance from their companies and counsel as appropriate.